Hello, everybody. My name's Nerdy Lover, and welcome back to another episode of our football betting series here on YouTube, Premier League Edition. And I just want to focus on those words, Premier League Edition. I think with the World Cup behind us now, we're going to be changing the format slightly, just because of the time constraints with my job in the real world. I'm not going to be able to produce 3 or 4 videos each week, breaking down the Premiership, La Liga, Serie A, Champions League, Europa League, and any other cup competitions. And I think I always kind of knew that would be the case. But this sort of World Cup period is just kind of giving me a bit of a pause, giving me a chance to evaluate just how much time I'm putting into creating each of the videos. Research for each game takes 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 20, and then tying up the script doubles that time, then recording the video, and then recording the images over the video. And I'm just not going to have enough time, I'm afraid. So what we're going to do is going to change the format slightly. Each and every week where there is a Premier League game, I will be doing a Premier League video. I will break down the games with the script in the normal format with the images and all that stuff. I won't be neglecting the Serie A and La Liga because they're things I bet on anyway. I just won't have enough time to do the video. So in order to cut my time down, but also provide the information for those leagues, I'm going to be having a top comment. I'll pin it to the top of the comment section, and it will break down what I'm betting on, what odds, and what stake. And hopefully, if you're interested in doing that, you can take that forward. And then you'll see how we're doing in Serie A, La Liga, and the other cup competitions when I do my monthly review videos. We kick things off with the early game. 10th place Brentford play host to 4th place Spurs. And Brentford perhaps would have been a little bit sad to see the World Cup break come as when it did, because they managed to beat Manchester City by 2-1, with talisman Ivan Toney scoring both goals for the Bees. Toney will have a point to prove following his admission from Southgate's Three Lions squad. But prior to this upset victory, Brentford were 5 games without a win in all competitions, and this does include being knocked out of the English League Cup by League Two side Gillingham. The side from West London averaged 1.5 goals per game from 2.8 key chances per 90. They do concede a clip of 1.7 goals per game, with just the 4 clean sheets in 15. One thing that Brentford will be reassured of is the fact that they do have a pretty good home record. 3 wins, 3 draws, and 1 defeat. That one loss did come at the hands of Arsenal by 3-0. The other side from North London are visiting today, and Tottenham Hotspurs will perhaps lament the timing of the World Cup break, as they also picked up a win on the final day pre-World Cup with their 4-3 win against Leeds. A Bentancur double put the game beyond all doubt in a game which, to be honest, Spurs struggled with. Spurs probably would have been a little bit relieved to have picked up that win because they had lost to Liverpool and Nottingham Forest in the 2 games prior. Conte's side scored 2.1 goals per game, which is on track with their 2.3 key chances created per 90. Defence is perhaps not the best, 1.4 goals against per game. When we look at the league table filtered by away records, Spurs do have a top 5 away record, and they're going to hope to pick up more points against what is, frankly, a mid-table side. Taking a look at the head-to-head record now, Spurs have bested Brentford in 2 of the 3 games they've played, drawing the other 1. Despite this good record, Brentford have not rolled over in games against their North London opponents. Spurs have been made to earn it in each of the games. When we look at the averages, both these sides tie with 10 shots per game. But the difference really comes when we look at shots on target. Spurs average 5 shots on target to Brentford's 2. When we look at key chances per 90, Spurs double Brentford again by 2-1. So if Spurs are to win, it's probably going to be nothing crazy, and I would probably expect to see them to win 1-0, maybe 2-1. With Brentford managing to keep the game close, Spurs to win in a single will be our first bet back in the Premiership. Next up, we have 19th place Southampton hosting 7th place Brighton, and Southampton would have welcomed the mid-season break, losing their final game 3-1 against Liverpool. This does represent a run of no wins in their last 4 Premier League games, and it is mainly this poor form that finally saw Ralph Hasenhüttl get sacked. Now, I don't think Ralph is a terrible manager, but losing 9-0 in consecutive years, you have to be doing better than 19th to keep your job in the Premiership. Alas, Nathan Jones will step up to try and keep the Saints afloat. And he's going to have his work cut out for him, as Southampton averaged just 0.9 goals per game despite 1.6 key chances created per 90. But it's the defence that's a real concern, conceding an average of 1.9 goals per game with just one clean sheet in their 15 Premier League games so far, or just 7% of matches. Additionally, as well as having the 19th best overall record, Southampton have the worst home record with just 1 win, 3 draws and 3 defeats for just 6 points out of a possible 21. Definite relegation form will need to change sharpish if the Saints are to have any hope of staying in the Premiership next season. And they host their local rivals Brighton, who saw their run of 3 wins in a row come to an end against Aston Villa in the 2-1 loss pre-World Cup. The Seagulls average 1.6 goals per 90 from a pretty decent 2.6 key chances created, so there's a disparity of 1 there, so they really could be scoring more goals than we're seeing. The defence, though, is pretty average, 1.4 goals against with 4 clean sheets in 15. Whereas Southampton are the worst home side, Brighton have a very strong away record, 3 wins, 1 draw and 3 defeats for the 6th best record in the division. Before the break, this game would have been a no-brainer, but the break in the schedule may have stunted the Seagulls' momentum, and that's why we're only committing to a half stake for all of the bets in this first week back. Brighton to win on the road at even money for a half stake in bet number 2. We're going to wrap things up here with our final selection. 12th placed Aston Villa hosts 6th placed Liverpool, and as touched upon in our last breakdown, Villa won against Brighton in their final game before the break. Unai Emery will be happy with that result in particular, but the ship has not steadied just yet following the sacking of Steven Gerrard. When we look at the recent form, well, there really is none. Villa have won 3 and lost 3 of their last 6. And the Villains average 1.1 goals per game from 1.5 key chances created. Defence is on the average side, 1.5 goals against with 3 clean sheets in 15. Liverpool pay a visit to Birmingham following their 3-1 smushing of Southampton. And Klopp has definitely regained form for the Reds, winning each of their last 4 competitive fixtures and winning 5 of their last 6. Despite this slow start, Liverpool have climbed back up the league and are now in 6th position. And they're in striking distance of the top 4, but I don't think there's a title challenge anytime soon. Statistically, Liverpool score 2 goals per game from 3.2 key chances created per 90, so they do have a margin there where they can increase their goal-scoring output. Defensively, it's okay, 1.2 goals against per 90, but this does need to be improved on if they're to solidify a top 4 spot. When we look at the head-to-head record, Liverpool have won each of the last 4 encounters against Aston Villa, but Villa have scored in 3 of these 4 games. So it could be a tight one here. Now, what's not reflected on the scoreboard is Liverpool's utter dominance. When we look at that 4-game sample, Liverpool averaged 68% of possession, averaged 23 shots to Aston Villa's 6, 9 shots on target to Aston Villa's 2. They have 3 times the amount of key chances created. Liverpool to win at 3-4, or 1.75 on the exchange is going to wrap things up for us today in our Boxing Day bonanza. There we have it, 3 selections on our return to the Premiership and our return to domestic football in general. They will take place on Boxing Day, starting with the early game. We have Brentford Spurs. We're going to take Spurs to win at just better than even money, £10 to return £10.30. Of the 3 o'clock kickoffs, we're choosing the South Coast derby, Southampton versus Brighton. We're going to take Brighton to win on the road at even money, £10, stake to return £10. And one of the later kickoffs, Aston Villa Liverpool. We're going to take Liverpool to win on the road at 3-4 or 0.75, £10 stake to return £7.50. So, on our return to the Premiership on Boxing Day, we're going to be risking £30 to hopefully try and pick up as much as £27.80. Will we do so? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to tune into next episode. But if you have made it to this point in the video, please drop a like down below. My name's been Nerdy Lover, and as always, have yourself a lovely day.